Yeah, what's up YouTube? I'm DJ Philly and welcome to Master Crafters. Today we're going over 7 different blocks that you can only get in creative Minecraft. Now for these blocks you will actually need commands on, so I would recommend doing these in a single player world or a world that you actually have moderator for so that you can use these different commands. Now some of these blocks you may have heard of and some of them you probably haven't, but we are going to go through all of them today and show you what they do and how you can use them in Minecraft. So first up, if we go over here, the first one that we have is the command block, and this is probably the most famous one that you have guys seen, and it is pretty easy and pretty well-known block. And I will have the command here up on the wood sign, so all you'll need to do is go into chat and command and put in /give @s command underscore block. Now please remember that underscores replace spaces if the block does, or if the name actually has a space, it will need to be an underscore if you're using commands. That's how the game works and understands the different blocks. But if we were to do this and press enter, then we will get a second command block. Now, these command blocks are pretty well known. You probably have seen them before. And basically, I'll just go a quick overview of what it is. So first off, we have a hover note, and that's basically for different notes that you want to put in. Say you want to say what the command does, and you can just put this in the note section. Then we also have block type, which you can either set it as an impulse, a chain, or a repeat command. And then we can also set it as unconditional and conditional. That's usually if you're using other commands or other redstone systems. And for this one, you can set it to it needs redstone, or you can set it as always active. And then you can also execute on first tick or set a delay in ticks. So to execute a command, you'll need to go over to the command input and put your mouse on it, and then put in, let's just say, /give. And remember how we did @s? Well, that doesn't usually work in a command block because the command block doesn't actually know who is executing the command. So instead, we'll use @p for the nearest player, and then /give command underscore block. And there we go. So we have our command block on needs redstone. So all we need to do is take out a lever, place it on the command block here, and execute the command block. And as you see in the chat, it says give command block to DJ Philly, and it gave us a second command block that we now have in our inventory. So this is basically a little bit of a rundown of the command blocks. There are a bunch of other things that you can do with command blocks that are pretty cool, but this is more of a tutorial over all of these different blocks and just a quick run through. So next up, this is a block that is not as well known, but you can actually put a command block in a minecart, and here's the command for it. But we can just take it out here, and we will also need to get ourselves a rail just to place it down. So we'll get that, and then we place it with the command block here, and it's basically just a command block in a rail. It's super cool. Now there aren't actually as many settings as a regular command block, and that is because it's in a minecart. It has different settings here, but you can put it on execute on first tick or delay in ticks, and you can also put it a command in the command input and have it activate, say, when it goes over some redstone or when it gets activated. So this is pretty cool. It may not be as useful, but it's still a pretty cool block that you can use. Next up, we actually have the barrier block. So this thing is basically a block that you can use for your maps and worlds. And if we take it out here, you can place it down as a normal block, and it will show you the red sort of no symbol. But if you take the, say, barrier block out of your inventory or out of your hand, you will not actually be able to see the red no. So only you can only see the actual hitbox of the block, but it works like a normal block. You can go up on it, you can say break it if you are in creative. But the cool thing about these barrier blocks is if you're creating a survival game or something like that, you can place these down and say you want to have the other players go into survival mode, they cannot actually break these blocks here. So this is a pretty cool for like an invisible maze or for areas that you don't want your survival friends to go into. You can actually use these and it will block them off. Now you still can go up on them. See, all you have to do is just place them like this and you will not be able to get on them. So it basically works like a normal block, except it is not breakable in survival mode. And like I said, if you don't have the barrier block in your hand, they are basically invisible except for the little lines of the hitbox. But if you put it back in your hand, you can actually see wherever barrier block is in your world. So this is pretty useful for both creative and survival players. And basically you can use it for your survival maps and stuff like that. Next up, we actually have the structure void, and here is the command for this block. Now block is actually very similar to our barrier block here. So if we were to take it out and place it on the ground, as you can see, it has red edges instead of the no symbol. But the main difference between the structure void or structure block here and the barrier block is that you can actually go through the structure void. You cannot actually go through the barrier. So this is another block that you can actually use for your survival games, as you can't place blocks inside this one block area. Say if we were to get a oak plank here, we can't actually place a block inside of the area. It will work as a normal block, and the block adjacent it will be placed adjacent to it. So you can go through it, but you can't place blocks in it. So it is pretty useful, and it's pretty similar to the barrier block as in terms of seeing it as well. So if we were to put it in our hand, you can see it, and it is a bit different from the barrier block. You can see the red edges instead of the no symbol. But if we were to take it out, you can no longer see it. So it is pretty useful for survival games and survival maps. And next we actually have the structure block, and here is the command for it. So if we were to take it out, now this block is a bit different from all of the other blocks that we have shown off, and this block actually saves a piece of your world, and you can do a whole lot of things with this piece of your world. Now, as you can see, when we place it down, it generates a box-like structure here, and this is what the structure block is actually seeing. So if we were to go inside, we can actually see this piece of land that we see in Minecraft. So we can actually save this to our desktop, we can load it, and we could 3D export it to a 3D block viewer or the Windows 10 3D modeler. All of those different programs you can actually see. So this is pretty cool if you want to take a piece of your world, say a base that you've been working on, and select it. You can actually go and take it to a 3D modeler. So it is pretty cool. And we actually have a separate tutorial on this because it is a bit complicated to understand, but we'll just go over a few things here. As you can see over on the left, we have structure name, and this is where you need to put the name of the structure or the 3D model here. So we'll just put in grass here. And we can also change the size of the model here. So we could change the X, Y, and Z coordinates, and we can also change the offset. So if we wanted to offset it from the structure block here, we can put in 1 for the X coordinate, and it will offset it by 1 from the structure block, and we will no longer be able to see the structure block. We can also do a bunch of other things, include remove blocks, we can include entities, and we can also save it in memory or the disk, and we could show the bounding box. We can turn that off and on as well. And we can also save, export, reset, all of that good stuff. And we also have a separate tutorial on this if you want to learn more about the structure block. But it is really cool if you are more into 3D modeling and to show your models of the builds that you have built in your world. And now if we go back over here, we actually have the Jigsaw block. Now this block is a bit more complicated, and it is sort of like the command block, I believe, but it deals more with generation. So I don't fully understand everything that's in here, but I believe Some of these are different generations, so the target pool, and you turn into, I believe you can turn things into other things. I'm not sure because it deals with generation, and these blocks actually deal with world generation, including the pillager outpost and a few other different things that generate in survival worlds. And also, as you could see, if you are not very much of a coder, because it is a little hard to understand, this block actually has arrows on its side, so we can actually use this for a decorational block as well to show the player where to go. So say we want the player to go left, we can do the left arrows, and then the player will need to go left, or we can do different directions saying this way or saying this way. It is a pretty cool decorational block that you can use, but for you hard code coders, you probably understand most of this, and it is a bit complicated, so I'll link the Minecraft wiki page in the description below for this block. And last but not least, we actually have the light block. Now this is a bit different here. As you can see, we have the slash give at s light block, and then we have the number of blocks, and then the light level, because this block actually illuminates different light levels depending on the light level that you choose. As you can see, we have 0 all the way to 15. So if we were to take the 15 out here, and we can go ahead and place it down in our world, this block will actually now illuminate a light level of 15. Now we won't be able to see it because we have the sun out right now, but if we were to turn it to nighttime here, and there we go. Now, as you can see, it will now illuminate a light level of 15. So this is great for you guys who build maps and stuff. If you want an area to be illuminated but don't want any torches or any lanterns here, we can go over and demonstrate it again and see where we want the actual light, and we don't need a block or anything. And also, if we go back over here, we also have different types of light levels, so depending on what light level that you want for your map, you can use any one of these. Now the command is a bit more difficult, so I'll go through this. You want to go through the commands here and put in slash give at s light underscore block, and then space, and then the amount of light blocks that you want. I'll just put in 1, and then space again, and then put in the light level that you want. And there is a minimum of 0 with a maximum of 15, so we'll just put in 14 here, and we will be given the light level 14 light block that we can place in our world. As you can see, the light levels are still here if we turn it back to nighttime, and if you want to get rid of the light levels, you'll need to get out the 0 block light level here and try to find the center where you placed it. It's a little bit hard to see exactly where, but it should be somewhere around in this area. It's a little bit of a guess, but you can eventually get it. Trying to see where it is. And there we go. We got it with this one. So it's a little bit easy, but a little bit tricky. You just try to find the center of where you placed it and put in the 0. And there we go. We got rid of the light level over there. And there we go, guys. We have our 7 amazing blocks that are creative only, and you can only get them through commands in the game. So they are pretty awesome for you guys who create maps or coders or all different types of Minecraft players. So these are super awesome and may not be as well known. That is actually why we made this tutorial. So hopefully it helped, and hopefully you actually learned about these blocks and everything. So if you did like our video, please give it a like and maybe consider subscribing, because that helps our channel out a lot. So thanks again, and have an amazing rest of your day.